Today's gospel was super long, so I'm not going to read it. But it was about a blind man who was blind from birth. If there is any blindness that you may have, you who can see, if there's any blindness that we have, it's the blindness to God's daily efforts to tell us, I love you. I have a friend back in California who would always talk about how her dad would find the most random and clever ways to tell her, I love you every day. Sometimes it would be flowers that he would buy and leave on her bed saying, I love you. Other times it would be a little card on the fridge saying, I love you. Sometimes it would be her favorite breakfast ready and prepared before going to school. With God, it's the same thing. Think about it. Jesus suffered and died on the cross out of love for you. That's already a lot. And on top of that, he rose from the dead. He came back from the grave to tell you, I love you. Do you think now that he's resurrected, he's kind of like, well, I mean, you could just look at the cross if you want to see how much I love you. I'm not going to tell you every day. No, on the contrary, if he has suffered and died on the cross out of love for you, if he has resurrected from the grave out of love for you, if he has given himself in the Eucharist out of love for you, that only says that he's madly in love with you, that he's just like my friend's dad, that he can't help telling you I love you or finding the most clever and random ways to tell you I love you every single day. You may be able to see everything that is in front of you, everything in color, its dimension, everything. But if there's something that we don't see, something that we are blind to see, it's God's daily efforts to tell you, I love you. And he does it in the most clever and random and beautiful ways. Jesus doesn't limit himself to telling you, I love you at church. Yes, him in the Eucharist at church is where he says it in the loudest way possible. But you can look up at the sun and say, that sun shines for me. You can look up at the trees. You can look at how green the grass is. You can look at how perfectly and wonderfully designed everything is and say, God made all of that for me. And that's just when you look at creation. Look at the people in your life. Every single person who has loved you, every single person who has hugged you, who has smiled at you, who has encouraged you in some way in that moment when you most needed it, God was present. God was there. God used those people to manifest his love for you. Saint Ignatius of Loyola once said, we will much sooner be tired of receiving God's gifts than he of giving them. That's to say, God will never, ever get tired of giving us gifts. We're the ones who get tired of receiving the gifts. And I think this is the main reason why we become so blind to seeing God's efforts in saying, I love you to us, is that everything just becomes so routine and so bland, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. Today's gospel is an invitation to prayerfully take a pause and look at how everything in your life really is a gift from God. That everything in your life really is an effort from Jesus trying to tell you, I love you, in the most clever and random way possible. Ask Jesus to give you this grace, to give you this gift, to open your eyes to every single gift that he's been trying to give you, to every single effort that he's been making to tell you, I love you.